So I'm in the middle of the desert in search of a tank for the shop's lot. Apparently, there's an authentic Sherman tank for sale that was used, get this, in Iwo Jima during World War II.
Yeah, it is going to be an explosive day. Why would Rick even want a tank? Well, there is only one way to find out. And let's be real, when Rick gets curious, things get expensive. We've seen him chase rare coins, historic cars, even samurai swords, but a literal war machine? That's a whole new level of insane. You've got to wonder if this is business, or just a big boy's fantasy with a six-figure price tag.
Guys are looking at right now is an M4A3 Sherman. What makes this tank special, it's the only Sherman tank in private hands that was actually used in the Pacific Theater. Real Marines jumped into during Iwo Jima. Now they can relive that history as well.
That is a valid piece of World War II history right there. A tank that actually saw action? How many collectors can say they own one? This isn't just some rusty shell, it's a time capsule with treads. Imagine the kind of stories this thing could tell, and imagine what kind of wallet you'd need to take it home. This isn't just a collector's item, it's a statement. And the price? That's going to hit hard.
You know what that's for? Japanese had magnetic mine, sticky mine. They would run up and stick the side of a tank, so the Marines had to improvise and put wood paneling on the side and on the wheels of the track. So these guys were figuring this out, improvising as best they could to protect themselves.
Okay, this is a fantastic find. A World War II tank that saw action in working condition. How much will our seller want for this one? Because if it runs, it's not just rare, it's dangerous in the best way possible. This isn't your average pawn shop moment. This is the kind of deal that either becomes a legend or a cautionary tale. Now the only question is, what number is the seller thinking?
The guy's asking $1.5 million, and that kind of money, thinking about it, but before I do anything, I'm gonna have to fire it.
Okay, this thing works. Can you imagine firing that thing? That's raw power. Now that Rick knows it is in working condition, how much is he going to offer our seller? Let's see. Because you can see it in Rick's eyes. He's impressed, but also calculating. Maintenance, permits, transport. It's not just a tank, it's a commitment.
You know, I mean, when me and Alex started discussing me buying a tank, I was thinking I could get into something like this for a couple $100,000 because they made like 50,000, right?
More than that.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's got amazing history. Everything about it, absolutely great. But it's so out of the ballpark for me.
So now we're about to find out how badly Rick wants to play general. Well, it turns out Rick couldn't even afford anything close to that price tag. He really thought one would cost a couple of $100,000. You heard that right. That price slapped Rick right back into reality. Turns out collecting tanks isn't just expensive, it's billionaire level ridiculous. Up next, we've got a guy with a gun in a tree.
I found this piece at an Old West collectibles auction. I think it's worth more than money to someone that wants it because you can sit around and talk about it and wonder what it's about. I'm gonna ask $18,000 or $20,000 for it.
Well, if this piece is worth more than money, why are you selling it then? Let's see if Rick wants to pay $20,000 for this very interesting item, because that's the thing. When someone calls an item priceless, but still slaps a price tag on it, you've got to raise an eyebrow. Is this sentiment or sales pitch? If it really means that much, why is it even here on the counter?
1858 Remington? During the Civil War, this was a great thing to have. These things weren't issued to you, you had to go get one. You were issued a muzzle loading, okay? You know, you got one shot done. I mean, if you were carrying around 2 of these, you got 12 shots. You could shoot all day with this.
Okay, we've got a loaded gun that a tree grew around, but that cannot be the only story here, right? Is this story really worth 20 grand? Because let's be honest, it's cool, but it's also weird. Did someone stash it and forget it? Was it lost during a hunt, a crime, or something even more bizarre? And is a strange origin story enough to justify that kind of price?
People bring in buried or sunken treasure, but a gun that a tree actually grew into, I don't even know where to begin. I've definitely never seen anything like this.
$18,000 is a lot of money for something like this, but this is also unique enough that some collectors may want it. What does Rick think? He's seen rare, he's seen odd, but this is borderline art installation. Still, when something's one of one, the rules go out the window. Now it comes down to gut instinct. Is this a talking piece or just a glorified log with a trigger?
I don't think it's worth that much, but I have a friend who I really want to show this to. I want to get his opinion on what it's worth. Hang out a few minutes, I'm going to get him down here. I want him to look, okay?
Even the expert is blown away. How did this happen? And importantly, is this gun and tree business even worth anything? There is only one way to find out, because sometimes even the weirdest things find a buyer, but sometimes they just rot in a display case. If even the expert can't place a value, that puts Rick in a tight spot. Curiosity versus cold, hard cash.
That's cool.
Oh, I
This one's
take
got
this
the
any
story.
day.
And that's the whole thing. I can't figure out a price on this thing.
And I'm going to tell you something. This is the one time when you're going to ask me what it's worth that I'm going to tell you I don't know.
The expert agrees that it looks really cool, but he also has no idea what it could be worth. Does that mean it's priceless or worthless? Let's see. That's the trap with novelty. It can feel legendary, but if no one's buying, it's just cluttered. And Rick, he's not running a museum. He needs margins, not mysteries. So now he's got to guess what the market might do, and hope he's not wrong.
I'll tell you what I'd pay for it. I mean, that's all I can say. I'd tell you what I would pay for it. I'd pay $3,000 or $4,000, no problem.
Really? He didn't take it? You know what? Maybe this thing is priceless after all. This seller has just let go of $4,000 for it. That's either the ultimate power move or a serious mistake. He walked away from cash in hand to keep a tree gun no one can price. Maybe it's emotional. Maybe it's pride. Or maybe, just maybe, he's holding out for someone even crazier than Rick.
It is a DJ Ashba guitar.
Owned by DJ Ashba?
I think so. I mean, it's got his name over here, so I hope so.
You know what? He's a rock star.
Yeah.
Which I really wanted to be a rock star at one point, but I didn't have the hair.
That's okay. You can borrow some of mine.
If only Rick had a little more hair. Anyway, this DJ Ashba is one of the most popular guitarists, and this guitar may end up being worth a lot of money, but it gets better. Because when it comes to music memorabilia, the line between ordinary and iconic is razor thin. And this guitar is skating right on the edge. If the name checks out, we're not just talking about strings and wood. We're talking about legacy.
6 a.m., Guns N' Roses, Grammy nomination. Pretty cool. So do you know anything about the history of it or anything like that?
I don't. I'm a GNR fan, but that's about it. People have been giving me items because we're trying to raise money for the Children's Hospital here in Vegas.
Okay, I get it.
Rick knows his guitars, and he knows that this was custom made. So this guitar had to belong to someone rich and important enough to get a custom rig. But that isn't all. It could really belong to DJ Ashba. And if that's true, this isn't just some instrument. It's a stage-worn artifact, the kind of piece collectors salivate over. But talk is cheap, and Rick knows it. Now he's got to connect the dots.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm hoping that's why it has his name on it.
How much you want for it?
At least $5 grand.
Okay, there's a lot of variable factors.
Amazing.
Give me 5 minutes, I'll go give him a call.
All right, sounds great.
Looks like this guitar could be the real deal and may even be worth more than our seller thinks it is worth. Let's see what our expert thinks of the guitar, because when value starts creeping up like this, it's easy for sellers to underplay what they've got or overplay what they've heard. That's why expert eyes matter. One small confirmation could flip this from maybe to a payday.
Recognize this. Was this like a limited edition or?
I could recognize this guitar a mile away. This right here is the Holy Grail.
Hold on, Rick got the actual DJ Ashba to come out and identify his guitar? That is so cool. And it turns out that the guitar actually belongs to him. And as he says it, the guitar is the Holy Grail. It's the kind of moment that almost never happens. Straight from the source, full confirmation, no doubt left. Suddenly, the guitar is not just valuable, it's legendary. Rick's shop just became part of rock history.
Okay, do you want it back?
It's a really special guitar. I would love to have it back.
If I can get it off her for a decent price, you can just pay me whatever.
I would love that.
You got everything going here. So, I mean, your guitars go for like 20, 30 grand?
Yeah.
Sounds like a good number, right?
Yeah.
She wanted just $5,000 for the guitar, and now she could get up to 30 grand? Well, let's see how much Rick plans on buying this guitar for. That's the kind of jump that rewrites someone's whole day. But now it comes down to Rick's move. Does he reward the lucky find, or does he stick to cold business math? Because even a holy grail has to meet his margins.
The kids at the hospital get the money, and I'll end up making a deal with him. I won't make no money off him, and everybody's happy.
You got yourself a deal. That sounds great.
Sweet. Go right over there. They'll get you paid.
Okay, thank you.
How classy. DJ Ashba got his guitar and the kids' hospital got $20,000 in donations. That is so cool. Up next, we have a 17th century powder flask. That's one of those rare moments where everyone walks away smiling. No ego, no haggling, just music, money, and a good cause. But don't get too sentimental. Next up is gunpowder, history, and probably a little chaos.
What do we got?
I have something really unique to show you today. It's a 17th century powder flask. If I understood it, it's for a dueling pistol.
This is really neat. We have the fer de lys, probably pronouncing that wrong. That would make it French.
Okay, that doesn't look very functional as a proper powder flask for dueling. It kind of looks ceremonial. What does Rick think? Because let's be honest, you wouldn't trust this thing to hold gunpowder in a real fight. It's too flashy, too delicate, more museum piece than battlefield gear. But sometimes the value isn't in the function. It's in the story it tells and who might have held it.
Really rich dude had this. Guys like that, they never used this. There was nothing to do if you were rich, okay? If you were poor, you woke up in the morning, you went to work, and then by the time you got home, you collapsed and did it again the next day.
It doesn't really matter if the flask was just dressing up. It is still a pretty cool item regardless, and our seller wants to sell. But Rick isn't done inspecting, because Rick knows better than to fall for surface level charm. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's old. But is it real? Is it rare? And more importantly, can it sell for a profit? Rick's gears are turning, and this flask still has questions to answer.
That is bone in there. That was pretty common because what they used to do with ivory a lot is like the background and stuff like that you couldn't see that well. They would put bone in there because it was a lot cheaper than ivory. Whoever made this, he was good.
But that doesn't mean much. If you buy an item with Washington's face on it today, does that mean it was made in the 18th century? So how much does our seller want for this item? Because that's the problem. Historical style doesn't always mean historical origin. Anyone can make something look old. So if the seller's basing his price on the image alone, he might be setting himself up for a reality check.
Get out of this.
$20,000 is fair for something this age, this ornate.
Let me just call someone up. Someone's gonna know a lot more than I am. They're gonna know about the value better. But I have a friend who will know everything.
Yeah, that works.
So hang out 15 minutes and I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Looks like this powder flask may actually be worth something if it is connected to the monarchy, but our expert is far from finished, because now we're not just talking craftsmanship, we're talking royal history, and when kings and queens get involved, values skyrocket. But one wrong detail, one shaky link, and this thing could plummet from priceless to pointless in seconds. The expert's just getting started.
So King Henry II died in 1559.
Oh.
But it's not that old. What I think this is a tribute to King Henry II.
Not only was this used by someone connected to the monarchy, it may have also been in the middle of some court intrigue. Maybe our seller will sell for more than $20,000 after all. That's not just historical, that's cinematic. A noble's hunting weapon, maybe even tied to a scandal? That's collector catnip. If this story holds up, the seller's modest ask could turn into a bidding war. Just not here, not yet.
It's in exquisite condition. My best guess is that at the right auction, $20,000.
Would you look at that? Right on the money. But our seller is in for some disappointment because Rick never buys at the market price. Market price is for retail suckers. Rick's job is to flip, not collect. So even if it's worth 20 grand, he's thinking resale, risk, and storage costs. And if the seller thought he'd get full price just because the story's juicy, he's about to get a lesson.
What about 15,000?
I'll give you 11 grand for it.
God, it's hard. Could you do 12?
All right, 12,000. We got a deal.
Thank you.
You know what? That wasn't a bad deal at all. Rick takes all the risks and stands to profit $8,000, and our seller has $12,000 in his pocket. That's how it's done. A clean cut, no drama. Seller walks away with a solid payday. Rick's got inventory with a royal twist, and nobody left the room mad. In this business, that's about as close to a fairy tale ending as you're going to get.
It was given to me by my father a couple of years before he passed away, and I'd like to know.
All right. So was your dad like Indiana Jones or something like that?
Not in the least.
Well, if she wants to sell it to someone who can really appreciate the artifact, then money isn't going to be a huge issue, right? You'd be shocked. And it gets even more interesting, because the second someone says it's not about the money, you know the negotiation is about to get real sticky, real fast. That kind of line almost always means they're secretly hoping for a big number, and Rick's about to test just how far that sentiment goes.
Okay. It's a scarab. Way back in Egypt, everybody had one. It was more or less the equivalent of people wearing a cross or something like that. Sometimes they'd drill a hole in it, put like a little piece of really, really extravagant jewelry that the pharaohs would wear.
Right, right.
That is a really long time ago. If this item is really that old, it may be worth thousands of dollars. But would a shop owner just sell this item to a world traveler if it was worth that much? Let's see. Because here's the thing, when something has legit ancient roots, it usually doesn't sit on a dusty shelf waiting for a buyer to stroll in. So either this was massively undervalued, or someone's overhyping a family legend.
$15,000 for it.
Okay. Do you mind if I...
That would be great.
Oh, that may not be good news. Even if this thing is really that old, would it matter if there are literally thousands of them around? But the expert isn't done yet, because age alone doesn't make something valuable. Rarity does. If this was churned out in bulk centuries ago, it might be cool, but not cash-worthy. And that's the heartbreak of heirlooms. Sometimes they're priceless to the family and basically pocket change to the market.
It's years old.
Okay, so what do you think it's worth?
Well, you can get a scarab, like I'm going to say right now, for maybe $250.
So $250 plus like $200 in gold?
So you're looking at right around $450 to $500.
Yikes, this thing is old but not very gold. Our seller won't get a huge payday from this heirloom, but is she still willing to sell? Let's see. The expert's verdict is clear. It's got age, maybe some cultural charm, but not much in terms of hard retail value. And now comes the awkward part. Does she accept the reality check or hold out for a miracle? Either way, the fairy tale just got a serious rewrite.
I would give you right around $350 for it.
$1,500?
No, it makes no economic sense for me to do this. I can literally make these for $450.
$500.
No.
Well, a deal's a deal. She didn't take a fortune home, but at least she took home enough for a nice steak dinner. Honestly, in a shop full of broken dreams and busted expectations, walking away with a few $100 and your dignity still intact, that's a win. But buckle up, because this next item isn't just history, and it's legend.
I know it's an extremely huge deal, but...
I know what you're thinking. Those rims aren't big, but in 1996, boy, those things were huge.
They look huge to me. There's a car dealership here in Vegas that actually has the car that Tupac was shot in.
Okay, there's absolutely no question of authenticity here. This is the car Tupac got shot in. This is so cool. Let's take a look at it before Rick gets to negotiating, because this isn't just history, it's hip-hop mythology on 4 wheels. This car didn't just witness a moment, more it was the moment. The weight of that event, the cultural impact, the story, it's all baked into the metal, and Rick knows that changes everything.
LA Crips here at a fight, and they got into an altercation, and then later on that night, when they're leaving the fight, car pulls up side and opens fire on Tupac in the passenger seat and Suge Knight in the driver's seat.
So best case scenario, this car goes for $200,000. Is that a risk Rick is willing to take? Will he get a buyer if he gets this car? Let's see, because this isn't your average collector's piece. This is niche, iconic, and controversial. Sure, someone might pay big, but who and when? Rick's not just thinking about price. He's thinking about timing, insurance, storage, and a whole lot of PR baggage. Let's see.
Last time I saw this car was back in '96. So I show up at my buddy's house, and lo and behold, across the street, there's the car Tupac got shot in. So
on a tow truck or something?
On a tow truck.
The car might have been polished up, but it is clearly the vehicle that Tupac got shot in. So it is time for Rick to make a decision. Is he going to buy this? Let's see. Because under the shine, the history still bleeds through. Bullet holes patched, blood cleaned, but the story lingers. The question now isn't if it's real. It's whether Rick wants to be the guy selling it. That's a heavy call.
Actually asking $1.5 million.
Whoa.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
I've actually already had an offer at $900,000 from a guy overseas.
That was smart, Rick. This thing might not perform well at auction, and Rick isn't tying up $1 million in a car he isn't sure he can sell. And now we have a whole lot of silver. That's the move of a seasoned pro, recognizing the hype, appreciating the story, but walking away from the trap, because some pieces come with too much baggage and not enough certainty. Time to reset, because here comes something with shine and sellability.
Here.
A whole lot of silver.
Let me help you out real quick. The old man is crazy about silver. He's going to be like a kid on Christmas morning when he sees this.
A pawn shop is a weird place to sell 3,000 ounces of silver, but this man claims he just buys them up as an investment tool. Let us see what Rick and the old man think about this. Because look, but when a guy casually strolls in with a stack of bullion, it raises questions. Is this just smart hedging, or is there more to the story? Desperation? Hoarding? Prepping? In this shop, silver isn't just metal, it's motive.
So I bought it about 12 years ago, and I held on to it, and here I am today.
So what do you got here?
I got some 90% silver dimes over here, some quarters, I got these bars, and this thing alone is almost 75 pounds.
That is a lot of silver, and certainly a strange way to edge against hyperinflation. But hey, if it works, it works. Rick checks all of it out to see if it is the real deal, and here's what he thinks. Because Rick's seen every scam, every fake, every I swear it's real con there is. And just because it shines doesn't mean it sells. He's about to test whether this guy's stash is solid or just silver-colored wishful thinking.
They look right. It's the right color. It's all 1964 before. Do you mind if I go weigh them just to make sure they weigh the right amount?
No problem.
Looks like they are all legit. And now to the most important question, how much is our seller willing to take for all this silver? But before that, Rick has an observation. Something might be wrong with this silver, because even when it's pure, there's always a catch. Maybe it's overpolished, maybe it's too common, or maybe the seller's playing games with the numbers. Rick smells something, and he's not letting it slide.
Can we test this thing?
Yeah, drill a few holes in it, take the shavings out, melt them down, make sure it's all silver. Give me a few minutes. If everything checks out, I'll pay you. Doesn't check out, I'll give you an address where you can send it. Okay?
Now that Rick knows it's pure silver, he will be more than willing to buy the whole thing. But first, we need to know what the asking price here is. How much will our seller take? Because Rick's ready to pay, but only if the seller keeps it real. If this guy shoots too high or starts talking collector value, it's game over. The numbers better match the market, or Rick walks.
We got a total of $110,901.
Well, let's make a deal.
That is the deal.
You can't go like 115?
No.
Our seller thinks there is some bargain to be made here, but there isn't. Rick is going on market price, that's it. Will he take the deal or not? Let's see. Because silver isn't sentimental, it's measured, weighed, and paid out by the ounce. Rick doesn't do guesswork. He's giving you cash based on facts, not fantasy. So now it's up to the seller. Take the clean deal or hold out and risk walking away empty-handed.
Well, I bought it 12 years ago for way less than that. 111 sounds good to me.
All right, it's deal, 111.
That's how it's done. No drama, no drawn-out negotiation. Just pure silver, market value, and two guys who know how to make a clean deal. It's rare when it goes this smooth, but in this case, both sides walked away with exactly what they came for.